Good morning, and let the Monday morning ruckus begin. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, and this is things you might not have heard. What we'll provide for you in a few moments is 10 news stories that were curated from the weekend, from last Friday all the way to about 5 or so this morning, and we are going to give to you those 10 stories, 10 of the top 30 stories from the full weekend that you deem were conversational, and we'll explain how you deem that in a little bit. We'll go into detail on how you could be a part of the show and tell us what stories to talk about. Now, for the rest of the week, it'll be 8 stories, Monday or Tuesday through Friday, because there's less time to deal with. But you'll get a chance to go through what people are actually out there engaging in and people are talking about. Now, we're going to talk about some Jamie Foxx. Technically, we're talking about Mike Tyson, but we'll talk about Jamie Foxx as the teaser graphic shows. Plus, as we said, 10 other stories from the full weekend. If you wanted more and more details about how we do some things and some things we have done, we did some little paint on the coverage of some of the things we did this weekend. Check out our website. This is theconversationproject.com for more of our things. We'll go do a bit of more promotion in a little bit after the news stories and fun stuff. So hang out for that. But first, let's get to the meat of the potatoes of the meal. That is the headlines. 10 stories vetted by you and curated today by me. Let's start off with this one, and let's just sort of say right now, get into sort of a understanding of how the news went. Let's call it a slow news week, if you will, slow news weekend for what we had going forward. So for this edition, the Monday, May 22nd edition, 2023 edition, we start off with R.I.P. Chuck, NFL star Chuck Clark mistaken for late Baltimore Ravens Chuck fan Chuck. A lot of Chucks mixed in that one. So this was the top story of the weekend. This one popped out there and was all over social media. Twitter was abuzz with this one. And the problem was a man who's apparently a Baltimore Ravens fan by the name of Chuck essentially said a suicide note online. Said, basically said, good luck to the Ravens this season. I'm out. Essentially saying he was, done with things and telling the world he's a Ravens fan. And the problem happened is people confused Chuck, the Ravens fan, with Chuck Clark, the actual Ravens player, former player. He's now a strong safety with the Jets, but he was rumored to have taken his life due to mental illness. But the problem was, it was not him. It was some other guy, a man named Chuck from Baltimore. Yes, the confusion pops up there. Yes, people went to way too many quick conclusions on this one. But this is also a sign of where we need to deal with some mental health stuff. So because of that, we are throwing up the slide that we throw up way too often because it's necessary way too often. If you need help, if you're in dire straits, if you need someone to talk to, please call or text the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988 on your cell phone. You can chat online at 988lifeline.org as well, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People can speak to you in Spanish and in English. So if you are in the need of having someone to talk to, that is there. Let's have less confusion on things like this, and let's have less people dealing with things like this because of the availability of help from things like the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Our second story of the morning, Justin Bieber former pastor Carl Lentz addresses affairs in Secrets of Hillsong doc. And the thing that basically pulled people to this was the fact is listed as Justin Bieber's former pastor. And that's how he was portrayed as the Hillsong pastor was becoming to prominence here in the States. Now, Hillsong is a global movement, if you will, that's turned into a weird cult-like sort of image where the people in charge have done a lot of really bad things, including affairs and some other abuses going forward, while promoting lots of very nice sounding songs for churches across the nation and the world. This is more of a advertisement for the FX documentary on Hillsong Church, I have to admit. But we put it out there. We had to fill the time, and people jumped onto it. Probably because a lot of the deal that why people knew him who weren't really into the movement is because of the big write up about Justin Bieber going to him late one night saying, I get baptized right now. And they found a pool and baptized him, which turned into a thing for a lot of people opening up to Carl Lentz. The biggest thing about what happened here in the documentaries and, of course, in his life, had the very, very, very public affair while he was married to his wife, and of course, seeing people in the church, which is normally frowned upon. Now, oddly enough, people who deal with church a long time know that this is not necessarily a new thing, pastors and sneaking off, things like that. In fact, it becomes more or less a staple of entertainment stories, if you will. But in real life, not a good look. I suggest you check out the documentary because it's basically well done, as documentaries go. If you're really into sort of the anti-churchish type stuff, search something else to maybe add some more bullets to your arsenal. But check it out as a pretty good documentary as well. Mike Tyson accidentally confirms Jamie Foxx had a stroke as he's stifled into rehab. Shifted to rehab. The glasses are on. I still can't read. Mike Tyson delivered an unsettling update to Jamie Foxx's health status, saying that the actor actually is in rehab because of suffering of a stroke. Now, what we heard from his daughter days and weeks and a while ago is that Jamie Foxx had his incident on the filming of a movie set, but was home and doing fine and recovering well. Those are essentially the words: at home, doing fine, recovering well. What we're hearing from Tyson in some things where he probably said too much that he should not have was the fact that he actually had a stroke. No actual other person has confirmed this, but it sounds like, for what we know, it's pretty legit. Now, everyone else is giving lots of positive vibes and saying he's working well to get back to a normal state. However, this is the first time we heard of what actually happened, and it seems to be a stroke. Third story for the morning. Baffert, back from ban, wins Preakness with national treasure after another horse euthanized. And this story actually gets updated because a horse was euthanized before the Preakness race this weekend. Bob Baffert, who of course was suspended from horse racing, gets the win over the weekend. But the other bad news is after the race, another horse was euthanized. It's becoming an epidemic in the high stakes game of horse racing. There were about 7 horses during the week of the Kentucky Derby who actually had to be put down. This one was a smaller number and not quite as big an event. The horse that won National Treasure gets the Preakness on Saturday and seems to be fine, but we do know that a whole lot of other things going on. Mage, who of course won the Kentucky Derby, of course can't get that Triple Crown now because of not winning the second leg of the race. This is a story that for people who love the horses and love horse racing are really, really into. My good friend Dawn, who of course says she's like a horse whisperer and can pick horse in races, has been big on this one and just kind of going into the details of what's going on. There's no real reasoning behind why so many horses are going down, but it is something that is very disturbing. A very Texas thing, that is Bluebell ice cream and Dr. Pepper creating Bluebell Dr. Pepper float ice cream. Now, this is a limited flavor, and I believe it's only available in Texas. So if you're near the border or can get somebody to smuggle some, it's fine. I have not seen any here in the Arkansas stores yet, but it's something that a lot of people were scratching their heads, but said, they'll take a try. People who have tasted it says they actually prefer Bluebell Dr. Pepper real floats to the ice cream, but give it a shot. That's what happened. A lot of people are just giving it a shot because it's summertime. It's something cool to check out. Something else that's cool to check out, but only for a limited time at this point: Disney to close Star Wars Hotel Galactic Starcruiser that opened in March of 2022. This time last year, of course, the big Galactic Starcruiser, which was essentially a 2-day event where you stay in the hotel that's shaped like a Star Cruiser and live the Disney experience like immersely, is shutting down. Now, there's a lot of things going down in Disney where there's business down everywhere. Disney is having its issues all over the place. They're cutting jobs, they're cutting TV jobs, they're cutting some movie studios things, and they're doing some renovations unplanned in some cases at some of the theme parks, shutting things down and furloughing a lot of folks. What we didn't know, this is not the DeSantis thing, although he says this is because they're doing bad business, is that this very, very big, very extravagantic type of immersing entertainment thing essentially isn't paying the bills and it's have to go away for a while. It's more or less made for adults or for young kids who are really into the Star Wars life, but because of the expense, because of the immersiveness. So it's not a casual thing, and it's expensive. That's the big thing as well. But right now, Disney trying to retool what has going on and fighting with DeSantis for whatever's going on. We're seeing them giving this one up and some other attractions across their other vast wealth of theme parks. Now, have you ever thought about this? A teenager was fined by airline for attempting baggage hack for wearing 6 layers of clothes. If you actually thought about trying to wear 3 or 4 different shirts and a couple jackets so you can get past all your baggage stuff, well, a teenager in Australia was tried to do this. He was fined for wearing about 13 pounds of extra clothes to get past the luggage restrictions. His name is Adrian Ocampo, a 19-year-old who traveled from Melbourne to Adelaide. So he did it inside of the nation of Australia with a friend when was told the baggage was over the weight limit. So he pulled the stunt by wearing a bunch of things. They said no, and they fined him in the process. Next story here, we go to a bit of some controversy, so bear with us for this one. Transgender teen told to dress like a boy for Mississippi graduation. A 17-year-old transgender girl and her family filed a lawsuit against Harrison County School District after school officials told them she couldn't participate in the graduation if she wore a dress and high heels. She was not allowed to participate in the graduation. If the follow-up is because she would not wear a dress and high heels, she was told to dress as a boy for the ceremony. The school was discriminating against the teen based on gender, causing her and her family distress. That was coming up in the actual lawsuit. The humiliation and fear they might have missed the momentous occasion in her high school career. That being said, she was not allowed to walk for graduation because she was born a he, and they insisted that he would dress like a boy to go across the stage. Controversial, a little bit upsetting. It is the reality we're on in this life. So if you agree or disagree, we can chat this one up deeper in the conversation going online. Some celebrity things that popped up this week. Sad news for Jimmy Buffett fans, and of course Jimmy Buffett, who is dealing with a hospitalization, so he's postponing his Charlotte concert. For a couple days ago, he was actually in the Bahamas. He's actually relaxing and actually doing well, but then he had to go to the hospital, and so for right now, the promised redo of the concert is coming when he's well enough, and so we'll see what happens for that tour date that's currently at the Credit One Stadium in Charleston, and what other dates may be postponed because of the issues. No word from the story on what the issue was, but at the very, very age, being in his 70s, when a guy is not feeling so great, you go with that. And finally, for this morning, we can't get Priscilla Presley off our minds and can't get her out of our updates. Apparently, you guys were responding to this one here. Well, Priscilla Presley attending her twin granddaughter's graduation, but remains separated from family. Last week we talked about her fighting with her granddaughter for a part of her granddaughter for a part of her estate. This time we're looking at her fighting with her granddaughters, or fighting with the family. It is trying to be a part of the larger family, but not literally being a part of the family. She literally sat alone by herself in all the confusion of what's going on with the estate planning. Wanted to be a part of the actual ceremony, but did it by not being a part of their world, particularly in the family. The dust obviously is not settled in what's going on in her trust, so it's going to be a deal for quite some time. We'll see if there's ever any sort of fix for this rift, but right now, the wounds are apparently really fresh, especially since they just came to the conclusion for the deal on the trust like Wednesday or so. So we'll see if there will be some healing, as the 77-year-old Priscilla Presley wants to apparently be with her family. The family not so much wanting to be with her right now. And the issue, money, which is sad. Let's go to our teaser story of the day, which will be a story we can talk about tomorrow, should you deem this story worthy of chatting up. And you do this by following us on our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/This Is a Conversation Project and Twitter.com/th_conversation. As you follow us on our feeds, you will see every 50 minutes we post a news headline from various sources. You just engage in the story, read it first so you know what we're talking about, not just reacting because of the headline. And then like it, love it, hate it, share it. Various different headlines from various different sources give you various different views of the story. So that's why we do the various things. There's a difference in the way that MSNBC and Fox News will post something. So sometimes we do the Fox, sometimes we do the MSNBC, and we talk about the story and give you a bit more context regardless of who does that. You can tell us what stories are good enough by just engaging in the stories. This is one that's a head scratcher. It's already there, so you may have to go back and find it throughout down the feeds a little bit. But this is one that, if you saw some news last week, we're glad to see Senator Fetterman back into the halls of Congress. Maybe not so glad to see his fashion sense. Back in hoodies and gym shorts, Fetterman tackles Senate life after depression treatment. So he's back to work and back in his element, walking around looking like, looking like what he's looking like. Is it a good look for him? I don't know. Is it a good look for Congress? Probably not. Will we chat this up tomorrow? You let me know by just simply engaging in this story. And as it gets some more engagement, if it's one of the top 15 stories for the day, and when I pull them in the morning, I'll probably pull it as one of the 8 stories we chat up for the day. Let's talk about making us some money, because despite my congestion and despite the bad reading today, we try our best to give you a great service here with things you might have heard and everything at the Conversation Project. So we want to give you a good shot at some better news, if you will, supplemental news. We call that because we don't give you the full story of the mainstream stuff. I obviously don't go out there and report from Ukraine, but we try to give you a good mix of everything out there, and we need your help to do that. We ask for your help by checking out our sponsors. Today's main sponsor is Fundrise. If you go to thisistheconversationproject.com/fundrise, you can find more details on how you can get into the world of real estate and diversify your investments. Now, I will say this. Last year, I lost no money in Fundrise. I began as a customer in early January, became an affiliate in late January, and lost no money throughout the year. This year to date, 5 months in, I've actually lost no money in my investments for Fundrise. There was some year-end evaluation things that shifted some stuff in appreciation where we did get shuffled. But so far, with the market as it is, I have not lost any money put in, any money engaged, any money invested this year since January of this year in Fundrise. We will see when the market rebounds and how things work out and where it goes with the overall arching sort of big time money. But this is not you going out and buying homes and flipping homes and doing real estate and doing rent and dealing with all that stuff. Other people are dealing with it. You are putting money into funds, just like mutual funds, just like stocks, that help to invest in the options. And you get a chance to see what they're doing because they give you lots of great reports on what's happening, what they own, and what's being developed and what's being sold. Check it out at thisistheconversationproject.com/fundrise. This is theconversationproject.com/fundrise, and get into the world of real estate today. Like I said, you may lose money in these because this is an investment, but I'm going to tell you from personal standpoint, in the fund I'm investing in, I've lost no money each year I've been into it. I've lost money in the overall taxes type thing, in the year type stuff. But I've lost no money in Fundrise in 2 years that has been directly put in there. So check us out if you do. We want to talk one more thing about us, and that is the Conversation Project itself. Being homed, living at theconversationproject.com. If you deem what we do good, and this week we actually did a nice big overhaul of what we do. We did some polish and paint on the weekly wrap up. We changed the You're Welcome commentary to the story of the week to make it more in line of what we're doing and a little less jerky, if you will. So we had a commentary this week on the ordeal going on by the Sussexes, that is Harry and Meghan. We talked about the top 10 stories per the actual stats this week, so we got that going through. And we're doing some cleanup on the website and some other things as well to be more focused on what's going on. We took into account a lot of things you said. If you think we're doing well, just keep showing up. Go to our feeds. Tell us what we're need to talk about. Email me and tell me what I need to do or going on. So that's important there. If you deem us good enough to actually help us keep stuff going on, check out our partnerships page at our website and see if there's ways you can partner up with us to help us keep things going. that's it. And keep it kind of quick, keep it pithy, because we had a lot of stuff going on and a lot of weird things slowing down the early part of this thing. So if you're popping into this late, it was sort of an ordeal just kind of speaking today. But we want you to check out what we have going on. Check out what we're going on in general, so you know all the big details, and then see if there's some ways that we can work together going forward. With that, we've done the news, we've done the promotions, we've done the sales stuff. It is time to have a little fun, or a lot of fun, if you will. Starting off with the birthdays for today. May 22nd birthdays include Naomi Campbell, turning 53 years old on the day, Jennifer Goodwin, 45 years old today, and Maggie Q, 44 on this day. Happy birthday to all those fine ladies. Hope you're going to enjoy a great day for this day. And if it's your birthday, happy birthday to you as well. Now, today in history, on this 22nd of May, back in the day, starting off in 1843, thousands of people and their cattle headed west via wagon train from Independence, Missouri, to what would later become known as Oregon Territory. It was part of the Great Migration. They followed what is now known as the Oregon Trail, of course, which is, of course, the how we get the very popular text-based computer game where you probably died of dysentery back in the day on your Commodore 64. In 1967, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood premiered on PBS, featuring Reverend Fred Rogers, a Presbyterian minister from Pittsburgh. Did not know that. It's a public television's longest-running children's program. And of course, nobody has hate for Mr. Rogers. There's no malice for Mr. Rogers, doing a lot of things that were revolutionary for his time. The first, bringing a black person sitting on a pool and putting his feet in the pool to share a moment, things like that. Teaching children through the art of puppeteering and just nice stuff. Mr. Rogers, a man that we could all use more of these days in real life. Of course, the beginning of the show, 1967, for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Also today, an ending. In 1992, after 30 years, 66-year-old Johnny Carson hosted the night show for the last time, which was amazing to believe. He was only 66 when he ended the show because he started so early, being one of the, he probably was the fourth or fifth actual host of the night show, turning it into what it is now and turning the late night and the talk show game into how it works now, where a comedian comes up, they do a monologue, they interview some guests, they have some musicians, they sometimes talk on some things. And Carson did some pretty revolutionary things himself. He also had some of his guest hosts. He had Joan Rivers as a constant guest host on Johnny Carson. She went on to try to do her own hosting things when it was pretty apparent she was not going to get a big time gig in the network television, or never going to get the night show at least. And of course, a week back, way back in the day, where Harry Belafonte got to host for a week and brought in folks like Martin Luther King Jr. on the Tonight Show to put people like him and the civil rights movement on the national stage. This was a watershed moment there. Johnny Carson, essentially one of my TV heroes. Basically, I wanted to be Johnny Carson. So the reason why you have me yakking at you in these videos here and telling me I suck is because I wasn't good enough to be a Johnny Carson type. So this is something that seems like a long time ago, because 1992 was a long time ago, but it's something for people of my age who remember these things, people who basically grew up in these times, see this and kind of, shed a tear for ends of eras. We're technically sneaking in another birthday today. May 22nd celebration is Sherlock Holmes Day. We're celebrating the life of the author, or actually the life of the creation of Sir Alan Doyle Conan. But what we're not doing is, what we're technically doing is celebrating his birthday, because that's how it goes. It is Sherlock Holmes Day because May 22nd is the birthday of the creator of Sherlock Holmes. So it's happy birthday to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Say that 3 times fast. Happy birthday to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. But it's also a day to celebrate the sleuth of his creation, the master of all mysteries, and all the different iterations he's had, including the animated versions and the young versions and the clone versions and the various versions, and even some, I guess he wasn't black, I guess was in the version they had in the thing where the kids were doing the thing. I guess Watson was black, and he was just crazy. It's weird. I mean, character's been out so long, there's so many iterations of it, and since there's fights to put him in the public trust, public domain, you can do what you want with them. And that's been what's been happening with Sherlock Holmes. Let's celebrate Sherlock Holmes in all his iterations and the birthday for Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Finally, one last thing, one more thing, one other thing you might not have heard for this Monday. Start you off for this day. If you're tired of being a working stiff and look forward to retirement, here's a study that will spoil your day. Pause for effect. According to a British think tank, the Institute of the Economic Affairs, retirement is harmful to your health. The study found that retirement results in a drastic decline in health in the medium and long term. The IEA said the study suggests that people should work for health as well as economic reasons. The study says there is a small boost to health immediately after retirement for a significant decline in longer terms. So to put it simply, think of any really, really old football coach. Bear Bryant as an example. Legendary football coach in Alabama. These guys work until their 70s and 80s because they're hard target, they're motivated, they do that type of stuff. That's what they do. And then they retire and they're not doing their day-to-day focus of stuff. And then you can't live on their high sort of ordeals of work ethic and just doing stuff and have a high level of engagement. And then they die. Literally, people who are working in a higher level of atmosphere literally die after they start to slow down. This is essentially bolstering that actual finding right there. But at some point in time, you must slow down. So in most cases, people just sort of slow down and find a way to go play shuffleboard or golf or work in the woodshed, whatever. This is a study that says that for many people, and plus for economic reasons, because the times they have a change, you may need to work a little bit longer to keep yourself mentally sharp, keep yourself physically active, because there is a decline at some point when you're not doing your normal stuff. With that, we're going to wrap up this normally better version of this podcast, videocast, and get on with the day. Monday, May 22nd, 2023 is a day. One more reminder that if you are in need of help, in need of services, need someone to talk to, go to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988. You can call it on your cell phone. You can text it on your cell phone. Someone will be there with you 24/7. You can go online at 988lifeline.org if you don't have access to a cell phone or you just want to go that direction. It's 24 hours a day, English and Spanish. Someone will be there for you to help you along the ways. In the meantime, we want to thank you for being a part of what we do here every day. Sometimes more congested, sometimes less congested, usually less congested, but sometimes the stuff gets in the way. We thank you so much for all the feedback you get, even the people who are tossing out the, hey, you suck stuff, because sometimes it does. But it also tells us that you're paying attention, and the trolls are here. That means there are other people here who are on the better side of the history part of things. So stay hydrated, stay limber, stay on task, stay decongested. We need you here for the grand things you're here to be for, and just to chat things up here in conversations. Check out our website. We're a little behind in picking the things up there, but we did post the links to the updated editions for the weekend podcast, both the weekly wrap-up and the now dubbed story of the week. So check out what I thought about Harry and Meghan and their car chase this week, and what other stories you guys really told me were the tops, not things I moved around because I thought this story was funnier than this one. And of course, just be here tomorrow. We'll give you 8 stories, so a little less chatty stuff. 8 stories from the day of today. And if you want to talk about Fetterman and his choice of clothing, which would be a really good topic of conversation, you can make that happen. Go to our website and follow us on our feeds and just engage in the stories as we post them. And we'll see you tomorrow as we do this thing one more time.